The Goods and Services Tax (GST) regime, which came into effect in India in 2017, has been hailed as a landmark reform in the country's indirect tax system. GST has brought about a uniform tax structure across the country, eliminating multiple layers of taxes and reducing compliance costs for businesses. However, one of the concerns that emerged with the implementation of GST was whether businesses would pass on the benefits of the new tax system to their customers. To address this issue, the government introduced anti-profiteering measures under GST, which require businesses to pass on the benefits of GST to consumers by reducing prices. Here we will analyze the anti-profiteering provisions under GST and their impact on businesses and consumers in India. The anti-profiteering provisions under the Goods and Services Tax (GST) were introduced with a clear purpose: to ensure that businesses pass on the benefits of reduced tax rates and input tax credits to the consumers. This crucial objective of anti-profiteering measures is twofold. First and foremost, it seeks to safeguard the interests of consumers, preventing businesses from exploiting the GST system unfairly. By mandating businesses to transfer the advantages of reduced tax rates and input tax credits to consumers, these provisions strive to drive down the prices of goods and services. The ultimate aim is to empower consumers to fully enjoy the advantages of the GST framework. Equally significant is the role of anti-profiteering measures in fostering an equitable business landscape. The foundation of the GST system rests on the elimination of tax cascading, thereby creating a uniform tax structure across the nation. The anti-profiteering measures play a pivotal role in ensuring that businesses adhere to ethical trading practices. This, in turn, ensures healthy competition grounded in qualities such as excellence of service and operational efficiency, rather than a mere focus on price. The overarching outcome is the cultivation of a thriving business environment that propels sustainable, long-term growth. In essence, the anti-profiteering provisions under GST encompass a triad of objectives: safeguarding consumer interests, nurturing a culture of fair competition among enterprises, and upholding the true spirit of the GST system through its diligent implementation. The anti-profiteering provisions under GST were introduced to ensure that the benefits of GST are passed on to the end consumers. These provisions are aimed at preventing businesses from increasing their profit margins by not reducing prices after the implementation of GST. The main objective is to make sure that the prices of goods and services are not increased beyond what is necessary to offset the increased tax liability of businesses. To enforce these provisions, the government has appointed the Anti-Profiteering Authority under Section 171 of the Central Goods and Services Tax Act, 2017, CGST Act. This authority is responsible for investigating complaints of profiteering and determining whether businesses have passed on the benefits of GST to consumers. The procedure for filing anti-profiteering complaints is outlined under Rule 128 of the CGST Rules, 2017. Any interested party, including consumers, can file a complaint with the Anti-Profiteering Authority if they believe that a business has not passed on the benefits of GST to them. The complaint must be supported by evidence and should clearly state the reasons for the belief that the business has engaged in profiteering. After receiving a complaint, the Anti-Profiteering Authority will initiate an investigation and issue a notice to the concerned business. The authority will then examine the books of accounts and other relevant documents of the business to determine whether they have engaged in profiteering. If the authority finds that the business has not passed on the benefits of GST to consumers, it will issue appropriate orders directing the business to pass on the benefits. The penalties for non-compliance with the anti-profiteering provisions can be severe. As per Section 122 of the CGST Act, businesses that fail to comply with the orders of the Anti-Profiteering Authority may be liable to pay a penalty of up to 10% of the amount of profiteering. In addition, the business may also be liable to pay interest and face other legal consequences. Thus, the anti-profiteering provisions under GST play an important role in ensuring that the benefits of GST are passed on to consumers. The appointment of the Anti-Profiteering Authority and the procedures for filing complaints and determining violations are essential tools to enforce these provisions. The penalties for non-compliance are designed to deter businesses from engaging in profiteering and to promote compliance with the anti-profiteering provisions. Impact of anti-profiteering measures on businesses. The implementation of anti-profiteering measures under GST has had a significant impact on businesses operating in India. The aim of these measures is to ensure that businesses pass on the benefits of reduced tax rates and input tax credit to their customers by reducing their prices. However, businesses have faced several challenges in complying with these measures. One of the biggest challenges faced by businesses is the lack of clarity and guidance on the anti-profiteering provisions. The rules and regulations are complex, and businesses need to interpret them correctly to ensure compliance. This has resulted in increased cost of compliance, as businesses have to spend more on hiring experts to interpret the provisions and comply with them. The anti-profiteering provisions also require businesses to maintain detailed records of their input and output costs, pricing decisions, and tax calculations. This has resulted in increased administrative burden, which has also increased the cost of compliance for businesses. The impact of anti-profiteering measures on profit margins of businesses has been mixed. While some businesses have been able to maintain their profit margins by increasing their sales volumes, others have faced a decline in their profits due to the pressure to reduce prices. The impact of the measures on businesses also depends on the industry they operate in, as some industries are more price-sensitive than others. Furthermore, the appointment of the Anti-Profiteering Authority has also created a fear among businesses of penalties for non-compliance. The authority has the power to impose penalties on businesses found guilty of not passing on the benefits of reduced tax rates and input tax credit to their customers. The penalties can range from a mere warning to cancellation of registration under GST, which can have severe consequences for the business. Therefore, while the anti-profiteering measures under GST aim to protect consumers from the negative impact of GST implementation, they have created challenges for businesses in complying with the provisions. Businesses need to ensure compliance with the anti-profiteering provisions while maintaining their profit margins, which has increased their cost of compliance and administrative burden. Anti-profiteering measures on consumers. The implementation of anti-profiteering measures under GST has a direct impact on consumers. The primary objective of these measures is to ensure that the benefits of reduced tax rates and input tax credit are passed on to the end consumers, leading to reduced prices of goods and services. The anti-profiteering provisions also aim to promote fair competition among businesses by preventing any undue advantage to certain businesses that do not pass on the benefits of GST to consumers. one of the major benefits of anti-profiteering measures for consumers is increased transparency in pricing. As per Section 171 of the CGST Act, 2017, businesses are required to clearly indicate the amount of GST charged on the invoice, thereby providing transparency to consumers. This not only promotes trust among consumers, but also makes it easier for them to make informed purchasing decisions. Anti-profiteering measures on consumers is the prevention of price hikes due to the implementation of GST. Businesses are required to pass on the benefits of reduced tax rates and input tax credit to consumers, which leads to reduced prices of goods and services. This ensures that consumers do not bear the burden of increased taxes due to GST implementation. Furthermore, anti-profiteering measures also improve the purchasing power of consumers. The reduced prices of goods and services due to anti-profiteering measures translate to more disposable income for consumers, which can be used to purchase additional goods and services. This can have a positive impact on the overall economy, as increased consumer spending can lead to increased demand for goods and services, leading to economic growth. However, it should be noted that the implementation of anti-profiteering measures can lead to increased compliance costs for businesses, which can be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices. Therefore, it is important for businesses to ensure that they are compliant with the anti-profiteering provisions to avoid penalties and to ensure that the benefits of GST are passed on to consumers. Analysis of anti-profiteering measures under GST. The anti-profiteering measures under GST have been subject to criticism by businesses who argue that the measures are difficult to implement and lead to increased compliance costs. Critics have also pointed out that the anti-profiteering provisions do not take into account the fact that businesses may have incurred additional costs due to the implementation of GST, which may justify an increase in prices. However, despite the criticism, the anti-profiteering measures have been effective in ensuring that businesses do not unfairly benefit from the implementation of GST. By preventing businesses from profiteering, the measures have helped to maintain the credibility of the GST system and protect the interests of consumers. The measures have also increased transparency in the pricing of goods and services, which has helped to prevent price hikes due to GST implementation. In terms of future implications, the anti-profiteering measures are likely to remain an important part of the GST system. As businesses continue to adjust to the new tax regime, the anti-profiteering provisions will help to ensure that businesses do not take advantage of consumers. It is also possible that the anti-profiteering measures will be refined in the future as businesses provide feedback on the effectiveness of the measures and suggest ways to improve the system. The anti-profiteering measures under GST have been subject to criticism by businesses, but they have been effective in ensuring that businesses do not unfairly benefit from the implementation of GST. The measures have also helped to increase transparency in the pricing of goods and services and protect the interests of consumers. While there may be room for improvement, the anti-profiteering measures are likely to remain an important part of the GST system in the future. In conclusion, the anti-profiteering measures under GST were introduced to ensure that businesses pass on the benefits of reduced tax rates to consumers. These measures have led to increased transparency in pricing and prevention of arbitrary price hikes by businesses. However, there have been some criticisms of the measures, particularly regarding the complex compliance requirements and potential for subjective interpretation of the rules. Despite these criticisms, it is important to note that the Anti-Profiteering Authority has been active in investigating complaints and enforcing compliance. This has led to increased accountability and deterrence of non-compliance by businesses.